Let's kick off the English debate competition. For representing MBBS batch, we'll have the first participant, Shreyanshi Yadav, speaking for the motion.
India's languages are the voices of its soul, each one a unique melody. This is a quote by Rabindranath Tagore. Good morning to all the esteemed judges, all the worthy participants, and other members of the House. I, Shreyanshi Yadav, from College of Nursing, Batch 2021, is here to speak for the motion. And my topic is promotion of medical education in regional languages. So, imagine a child who has been brought up in a language and the language which has been fed up in his mind since he has started to speak or comprehend languages. And suddenly he enters school and it has been made compulsory that he has to study in, let's say, English. Would it be easy for him to catch up? Of course not, because the regional language that he or she might be speaking is completely different from what is being taught in the school. So with this, I would like to introduce you with the National Education Policy 2020 by Government of India. And this policy states that it promotes basically the promotion of teaching medical education, teaching the education in regional languages up to class 5, which is mandatory, and class 8 could also be exceeded till class 8. So why is it so? Why the Government of India is promoting NEP 2020? To promote unity in diversity, of course, and then promote the multilingualism. With this, I would take you to my topic, promotion of medical education in regional languages. So, when we go to hospital, what do we deal with? We deal with the patients. And the patients that come to a doctor or a nurse, what do you think? What kind of languages they must be speaking? It's the regional languages. And I will give you the data. The data comes from the census 2011 census, which states that amongst all the languages, the top 12 languages are the regional languages of India, and of which the most common spoken language is Hindi, which you might guess, and it goes to percentage of 43.6%. So, and the rest of the 11 languages, they are Tamil, Marathi, Urdu, Assamese, and amongst these all 12 lists, there is no word for English, which is promoted in most of the medical colleges. So, when you deal with the patients, who do you think the patient, what kind of languages they must be speaking? Obviously, it would be the regional languages. Therefore, in order for a person from medical fraternity competent enough, it's very important that he or she should have the knowledge of regional languages. Therefore, we must promote it, and there are certain myths related to it that if we don't go with English languages, we might lag behind. So I must tell you that some of the most developed countries of the world, such as Switzerland, United Kingdoms, they promote their education, and the major language that they speak is their native languages. And the most poor countries are those who are from parts of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreyanshi, for your well-reasoned ideas. Now, moving on to the rebuttal session, participants may ask a question from Shreyanshi.
While I was doing my study, I found out that studies said that 80% of the medical graduates in the Indian medical colleges have have done their higher education and higher and primary education in English as a medium of language. And also also you must be aware of the fact that English is a compulsory language to learn in each and every Indian curriculum, whether it's CBSE, ICSE or any state board. So, I mean, around 90 to 95% of the students are going to have the knowledge of English, and the studies clarified that 80% have opted, which are now currently studying, and even which are currently studying in this college, and all over the India, 80% of the students have completed their higher, I mean 11th and 12th, and also 10th in English as a medium instruction. So if we are going to implement the local language program, whom are we going to serve? I mean, only I think marginal 5 to 10% of the student will be will be at the getting advantage. What about those 80% students who have studied as an English as a medium instruction?
First of all, thank you for the question. So my answer to this would be, we are talking about, the topic is promotion of regional languages. It's not compulsion. We are looking at the benefits, that what would be the benefits if we promote the regional languages. You are correct that most of the students have graduated from English medium, which is a compulsory subject. But what if we try to inculcate the regional languages in the medical colleges? Similarly, as it has been given in National Education Policy, we can use the same plan in the medical colleges to teach the regional languages, and the second language could be English as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreyanshi. Well answered. Now, please welcome our next participant, Sapna Dwivedi, representing BSc Nursing batch, speaking against the motion.
We live in a world with great minds and scientific knowledge, which transcends the boundaries of many countries. Can we really afford to get deprived of this knowledge just because of language barrier? Good morning, one and all present over here. I, Sapna Dwivedi, stand firmly against the motion. Before I begin, I would like to mention some of the greatest names in medical education of all times. Hippocrates, the father of medicine; Florence Nightingale, the establisher of nursing; Shrewdest, the father of surgery, and much, much more. What if all these individuals studied their subject of mastery in their own regional languages, and we only received a mere vague translation of that information? Having said that, major global research and advancements and literatures are published in English. If we promote and inculcate regional languages in everything, then the students might find themselves in disadvantage when they assess the research and the advancements in the medical field. Advancement in the medical field. The lack of exposure could stifle their understanding of the recent medical practices and the advancement, which ultimately would affect the quality of care they are giving to the patient. Now, some of my opponents would later on mention that teaching regional languages would establish good communication between the doctor and the patient. But as students of medical field, we all know that the major diagnosis and the treatment of the patient is formed by the diagnostic evaluation and the reports, and very less by the words he speaks. So if this is so, then what will the mute patient do? Also, there's a solution for this. The government of India has developed a Bhashini app which can translate any regional language of India from one to another, which will eventually break the language barrier between the doctor and the patient. Coming to the next concern that my opponents might address, that is the upliftment of the rural people. Now, as we all know, the medical entrance exam NEET is already being conducted in 13 different languages, and that already serves the purpose of equal opportunities. So there is no, I think, question of not giving equal opportunity to the rural people. Also, India is a very diverse country. Although there are 22 languages that are okay, I would like to conclude by saying the language of science should be common, whereas the language of communication should be individual's choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna, for your insightful ideas. Now, moving on to the rebuttal session, participants may ask questions.
Well spoken, Sapna, but I want to ask you one thing. At the start of your speech, you mentioned about scientists who pursued their careers in English. You mentioned about Hippocrates. I just want to remind you there is a scientist, not just a scientist. The Hippocratic Oath is replaced by Charak Samhita. So it's not just the English professors or the scientists who pursue their careers in English are gonna. Also, I want to ask that you told about the 10 or the 15% of students who would be difficulty in studying the English literatures. How do you care about the 85 to the 90% of the patients, 85 to 90% of the patients who do not understand English and cannot understand what the doctor is speaking or what the doctor is talking about if he talks in the English terms?
Thank you for your question. The answer to my question is teaching medical education in English or in a standardized language does not mean that the doctor is supposed to talk to the patient in English language only. We are talking about medical education in English language, and we are standardizing this because we have to deal with the world, all around the world, their technologies and everything. We as doctors and nurses, we will talk to the patient in their comfortable language, and as I mentioned, Bhashni app, so we can use that also. I am just here to promote that we should match with the standard of international context so that we, match steps to step with the world. Thank you.
Judges, would you like to ask question? Thank you. Moving forward, calling on stage next participant, Kyosha Jain from 2023 batch.
Good morning, respected jury members, teachers, seniors, and my dear batchmates. Promoting medical education in regional languages? How backward, says the vocal protagonist of English language. Little do they realize that medical education encompasses so many aspects. Medical science, its applications, the ethics, communication, and so much more. Hearing something in a language you know versus something foreign to you creates a hell and heaven difference. Anything you hear in any language, your mind converts it into your mother tongue, then it reaches various levels of understanding, and then it goes into your memory. Again, when you retrieve it, the reverse follows. The reverse happens, but when you have to speak it again, it takes a lot more effort. So there is lag, there is delay, and you become ill-confident. I strongly believe that teaching in regional languages will make learning simpler, as it will be in a way of muscle memory. Things will be easier. Let us take, for example, our lecture theatres. When lectures are taken in a mix of Hindi and English, we understand it better. We are able to relate to the incidences that are narrated, and definitely we get the jokes. This makes learning easier, and things automatically get into our memory. Regional language, teaching in regional languages will help society in a large way. There are so many brilliant students out there who are not able to perform just because of language barrier. This will be a boon to them, because we all believe that knowledge is supreme, not the language. My worthy opponents believe that allopathic medicine derives its origin from the English language and believe that its originality should remain so. But let me tell you that science in any language, in any form, should be made available to all and should have the ability to propagate on its own. That is evolution. Teaching in regional languages, the language conversion and execution does seem to be a Herculean task, but nurtured in the lap of well-bred and well-read doctors, it is not a far cry from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyosha, for your inspiring ideas. Moving to the rebuttal session, participants.
So, see, it's very inclusive to promote regional languages. But what if there's misinterpretations in those translations? Like, what if a patient inadvertently gets harmed because of those? What will you say against that?
Thank you for the question. I think when we are teaching in English, for example, and the students are not understanding it, since most of the students are from nearby in the college, so if there is misunderstanding at that level, I believe it's more harmful. Because if at that level the student is learning, is understanding something else, misinterpreting something else, that will cause more harm to the patient rather than what the doctor is doing at the patient level. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Now moving forward, I would like to call upon the stage our next participant, Mangalam 2023 batch, speaking against the motion.
Very good morning to all the respected juries and audience present here. Thanks the juries for giving me the chance to speak on the podium against the motion. Sometimes it's good to hear in speeches and extempores that India should start imparting its medical education in local languages. I mean, it caters your nationalistic feeling. But what happens that India is not a one nation, one language country. Countries like China, Italy, Germany, France, I mean, they are one nation, one language country. India is a country with more than 200 languages, and in those 200 languages, there's more than 10,000 dialects. So it's going to be a Herculean task to provide you the standard text of anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, medicine, surgery in those in the local languages, and also providing all the standard textbooks in the regional dialects also. I mean, in Hindi you see there is not just one language. I mean, in Hindi you see Hindi is not just a language. I mean, there is Bhojpuri, there is Magadhi, there is Maithili, there is Angika. I'm going to tell you a story. I hail from the state of Bihar. What happens that the regional language of Angika got vanished because we started practicing Hindi so much that it got vanishing. I mean, you see, if you will go and hover in the market, you are not going to get any single textbook of standard level in the local languages. You know, the government of India started, I think 2 years back, introduced some medical books in Hindi. But so far, in the 2 years, I have not seen any significant step taken towards implementing any, implementing the idea of promoting regional languages in the local languages. Now I'm going to give you a fact check. What happened in 2020 that AICT, which is a governing body for engineering and technical examination in our country, provided the state of Tamil Nadu to impart, it gave the right to the state of Tamil Nadu to implement the educations of technical and engineering courses in Tamil itself. But what happened that there are, I think, 1,000 colleges in state engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu. But out of those 1,000 state colleges, only 14 opted to do so. And in those 14 colleges also, only 20% of the seats were filled. And 80% of the seats remain vacant. And till date, I mean, it has been 4 years, the colleges and the universities have not been able to provide a single book of engineering being translated into the Tamil itself. So the ground reality is that whatever my colleagues may say, the thing is that the students and we ourselves are not confident enough. We ourselves are not confident enough to take our to be the part of the education which is being given to us in local languages. I mean, I believe all of my colleagues studying here, they must have given their examination in English, have studied English. They have not studied in local languages. I mean, people here sitting here, I mean, any of them have not studied in English, have not studied, in Hindi or any local languages. Now, I would like to conclude my speech by saying that in English, I mean, it's a dialogue of movie that अगर आपके घरों में दरारें होती हैं तो आप अपने घर को मजबूत करते हो, आप तोड़कर एक नया घर नहीं बना देते. I think that's what we should do. We should try to focus on the try to focus on improving the communication between the doctor and the patient instead of just changing the language or trying to implement local languages. Thank you.
Thank you, Mangalam, for your inspiring ideas. Now, moving on to the rebuttal session. Participant may ask questions.
You gave a great speech. So, as you used Hindi, which is a regional language, to conclude your speech, so I would like to ask a question. Don't you think that when we use our regional languages, it becomes more easier for us to connect? So similarly, when you are in a hospital premises, when you are dealing with a patient who has come to you with a problem, he has come to you with a hope that you will treat him or her. So don't you think it will be better if you know their regional languages? It will be easier for you and for them to get a better treatment?
The topic of the discussion is the promotion of the medical languages in the Indian medical education. So you asked that I used English, I used Hindi. You know, because I was sometime. Excuse me, kindly reframe your question. I forgot.
So my question was, as you used Hindi to conclude your speech, right? And you are against this. You are promoting a single language. And we are here promoting the fact that regional languages, Hindi is a regional language of Uttar Pradesh. So don't you think it's easier and it's better for us to connect with people similarly in the hospital?
Hindi is not a regional language of Uttar Pradesh. You may say it, but there is various languages. I mean, there is a Braj, there is Awadhi.
It is one
what
of
about
the
those?
languages. It is one of the language.
It is one. Okay, it is one of the three languages. So what my point to say is that, you know, medical education demands a high standard, a high quality. I mean, you cannot compromise quality in order to promote your nationalistic urge or your regional urge. You have lives at your hand, at a stake. I mean, you must maintain a high standards and you must create a high quality of doctors, and that will only happen. I believe that will only happen if you are going to study the high quality standard books and high quality standard science journals, which I think currently till date are available only in English, at least in our country.
Thank you. Calling the next participant, Akshay Srivastava from 2022 batch, speaking for the motion.
A very good morning to the esteemed judges, respected faculty members, and my dear seniors and juniors. Being in a country like India, who has a vast diversity of about 1600 regional languages, are we talking here promotion of the regional languages or promotion of the medical curriculum in regional languages? Of course, a step forward, my dear. Counting on the points which we will be speaking in favor of it is accessibility. India has a vast rural population where regional languages are predominantly spoken. There are a number of students who speak different regional languages and belong to different regional backgrounds. Now, by promoting medical education in these regional languages, what we are doing? We are giving them an opportunity. We are ensuring their progress in the field. Ensure that students these areas might be fluent in, they might not be very fluent in English, but we are giving them an equal opportunity to pursue medicine as their career. Now, what is the major problem or the major barrier or major drawback in our healthcare system nowadays, which we are seeing in the most recent of times, that there is lack of communication. There is a lack of communication between the doctors and patients. Doctors are unable to explain the symptoms, explain the condition to the patients, just because they have been taught all this in English, and the patient who comes, the 85 or 90% of the patient who comes to the hospital does not know English. Now, what we have to do is we have to make them understand in their own regional languages. Don't you think it would be very easy for a doctor if he himself has studied those things in the regional languages to explain it to the patients? Right or not? I mean, what is the actual benefit of studying MBBS or studying medical sciences? Is to treat patients, is not to become a philosopher, is not to become a professor with English language or be very fluent in English. The major purpose is to treat patients. And in order to fulfill that purpose, I don't think so inculcating the regional languages would be a very bad idea. And if you want to draw inspirations, we can obviously draw inspirations from the global trends. Global trends, what do you call a developed country? Germany, China, USA. They all use these regional languages, their regional languages as their main source of teaching. And they produce world-class doctors. Do we have any doubt in that? We don't know. They do produce world-class doctors, and thus this proves that language can never be a barrier in proving the excellence of a doctor or in any field. Language can never be a barrier. And therefore, promoting regional languages in medical curriculum would be a boon for India in order to help people, in order to treat people, in order to take care of people and take care of their concerns and prevent misunderstandings. Misunderstanding leads to, nowadays, violence in our country. So in order to read these misunderstandings, this would be this concept of bringing regional languages would prove as a boon. Also, in conclusion, I would like to say that promoting medical education in regional languages is not just a step towards better understanding, better grasping, but also essential for delivering healthcare when we have a very vast system of people, system of different regions, different cultures, different languages, different races. And it's in binding all them in one language, binding all them with English would not be that easy. And if they are separate languages, separate mediums of communication, medium of delivering healthcare, why should not we opt that? So it bridges the gap. What does medical education in regional languages do? It bridges the gap between doctor and patient. It improves the quality of education and empowers students from all the backgrounds to pursue their career, to pursue their dream career in this medical field. So let's we all stand for this and embrace this change for a benefit or for a healthier society. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Akshay, for your provocative words. Rebuttal session.
So Akshay spoke very well, extremely well. But moving on to the question, just a slight comment. You mentioned that USA uses its regional language.
Sorry for that.
USA, the language in USA is the international standard throughout the world, but that's not my question. No problem on that. My question remains that you spoke that regional languages, medical education in regional languages bridges the gap between various people of other backgrounds who are coming to meet the doctors. However, you have heard the name of referral hospitals. RML is itself a referral hospital. People are coming from all over UP. The population of Uttar Pradesh is 20 crores. It's much bigger than lots of other countries combined. And everywhere there are different dialects. There's Avadhi, there is Braj, there is Khadi Boli, there is Bhojpuri, there is Maithili. People are coming from Bihar and Madhya Pradesh and Nepal, from everywhere. And all those people are speaking different dialects. You yourself in your OPD's clinical posting must have faced this issue, that people are speaking in different dialects. So even if you know the regional language, the problem of the dialect still remains. And on the other hand, you are diluting the quality of the education that they are receiving from a standardized source, because all our books are the gold standard. And if we are going to translate them into the other regional language, then there is a risk of misinterpretation. So the benefit does not seem as lucrative, but the cost and the risk that poses towards it is very high. So what will be your comment on that?
My comment will be, you asked about the referral hospitals and people coming from different backgrounds to the referral hospitals. There's no people coming from Maharashtra or Madhya Pradesh referred to RML Lucknow. The patients coming to RML Lucknow would be from regions around UP, Bihar. What is the most common language spoken in UP and Bihar? We don't count them as Avadhi, Braji and everything. The most common language is Hindi. So there's a particular language. I'm not saying you need to write these books in all the 1600 languages spoken in India. There are some languages like Marathi, Gujarati, Hindi, the region, the patients residing in the North Indian region, they have these, in the North Indian region, they primarily speak Hindi. So why don't we have doctors who have studied in Hindi, who can explain the diseases to these people in Hindi? It's not about speaking it in Bhojpuri or speaking it in Avadhi or speaking it in Braji. Understand? It's about speaking it in the language they can understand. Not all the 85. Do you think the person coming from Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, coming to RML Lucknow would understand English if the doctor is going to explain it in English? Of course not. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, I would like to welcome our next participants, Shashwat Gupta representing 2022 batch speaking against the motion.
Good morning, respected judges, seniors, batchmates, and juniors alike. Today, I, Shashwat Gupta, stand here in front of you all to argue against the motion and elaborate with a plethora of points that I would like to discuss with you all. So, the first and foremost contradiction to this system comes with when we consider the importance of standardization of medical terminology and literature. Unfortunately, where there is no standardization, there is room for misinterpretation. Speaking from a purely logistical point of view, developing or translating pre-existing medical literature from English to various regional languages would cost a lot of money, effort, and the most important elixir of it all, time. A point that is usually omitted by a lot of people, but I would like to discuss, is the interoperability among various trained medical professionals. See, a single language-centric system, what it does is, it fosters an environment which allows you for better collaboration, better research, and of course, professional networking. Imagine a future where trained medical professionals cannot even communicate with each other, cannot share their ideas, cannot share their research papers. Based on what? Just linguistic differences. Wouldn't that set us back for research and development? Don't you think so? A very pivotal point that I would like to tackle in this is that when we shift from a single language-centric system to a multi-language-centric curriculum, there would be understandably a lack of trained faculty members which could teach their own subjects. See, there are various intricacies of anatomy, surgery, or pharmacology which requires a little expertise or a clarity which regional languages might or might not have to offer. As Professor Manohar P. Bansal once said, that the language of medicine is very precise, and any sort of ambiguity in it could cause severe consequences. I could think of one such consequence right here. Imagine a case where there's a pathologist and a clinician, and both of them had studied the same curriculum, but in different languages. Now, how is that clinician supposed to make a definitive diagnosis if he cannot even understand the remarks of the pathologist? See, all my peers sitting here would like to pursue their postgraduates sometime. And how exactly would they be allotted this? Through a national level exam based on merit. Now, there's a 15% All India quota in that exam. Imagine if you were allotted a seat that's completely different from the region that you're studying your UG in. Now, it would take you months or even years, and still you will not be able to fully grasp the linguistic barrier, fully climb it. And elaborating this same point, job market preparedness, something very, very crucial. See, when you practice in a regional language, you would be bound to keep practicing there for the rest of your life because, well, you would just be confined to it. At last, I would like to conclude by saying that as a developing country that we are, we have an exorbitant amount of patient inflow in hospitals coming every day. So I'd argue that there are other aspects that we could focus our resources, our times, and our assets to, such as developing better infrastructure or better emergency facilities or diagnostic capabilities, because the sole purpose of this curriculum has always been about saving lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashwat, for inspiring ideas. Now moving for the rebuttal session.
First of all, you spoke really well, Shashwat. Kudos to you for that. And my question to you is that today's topic of the debate is promotion of medical education in regional languages. And we're not asking you or anybody to rule out the English language completely. You know, it's just a simple add-on, you know, to maintain the, you know, a good and healthy doctor-patient relationship. Because one thing that community medicines and forensic medicines ATCOMs have the most emphasized on is maintaining a good doctor-patient relationship. So what's your take on that? Like, how is it a step backwards? Because we're not ruling out anything, we're just adding a simple thing. How is it a step backward?
See, I'd like to tackle your point of ATCOM by using the exact same logic. We already have ATCOM classes in our curriculum, despite our language, whatever English. So the issue is that if we do not standardize our medical practice, there would be room for misinterpretations. Misinterpretations that could be lost in translation. And anything, if it's lost in translation and would supposedly cost a human life, it would not be really good, in my opinion. And about the adding part, see, if you're adding a curriculum, if a person is studying, suppose in Lucknow, and what if he gets a PG or posted into like Karnataka, what would he do? And you're saying that you're adding a language, but he'll have to study both of them at once. And when he reaches Karnataka, possibly he'll have to learn a third language just to like communicate with the people. So it's already adding a lot of burden to this already huge curriculum which involves 19 subjects. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward, let's call on stage next participant, Soheba Masroor from 2021 batch speaking for the motion.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all our esteemed judges and my worthy opponents. Myself, Soheba Masroor, and today we are here to confront a pivotal question. The promotion of medical education in regional languages, is it a step forwards or is it a step backwards? And I can affirm that its promotion in regional languages is a step forward necessary for a society, unequivocally a step forward. Why? Because of knowledge. Knowledge is like a vast ocean, so vast, so boundless, meant to be explored by all. It should never be restricted or limited. Just like as an ocean, as it nurtures its own diverse ecosystems, similarly, knowledge fosters growth and innovation. Access to quality medical education should never become a privilege, limited only to those who are fluent in a selected few languages. By offering medical education in regional languages, it breaks down the barriers that have long prevented so many aspiring healthcare professionals from pursuing their dreams. I would like to question the critics sitting right beside me. How many patients visiting our OPD have they seen presenting their medical issues or giving their history in proficient English? Being a third-year MBBS student myself, I have been attending clinical postings since the last 2 years, and my answer is none. I haven't seen a single patient like this. And considering India's cultural and linguistic diversity, there are 1,600 languages spoken in India, and offering medical education in regional languages, it's not merely an educational reform, but it is a necessary step. It is a crucial step towards equity in healthcare system. Has any one of us ever wondered, even though we entered the medical profession by cracking the NEET UG examination, which is conducted in all the regional languages, but after becoming a medical student, we are only restricted to a single language, and that is, for sure, English. Like, how is that even fair? I have seen it myself. I have seen so many of my batchmates, my juniors, and even my seniors struggling to read those so-called gold standard books of ours written in proficient English. Even though they cracked the NEET UG examination with flying colors. Mind you, their mental capabilities, they are no less. The only thing, and for the most only important thing that is holding them back, is the language barrier. I would like to present some real-life examples. In Tamil Nadu, MGR Medical College has offered medical courses in Tamil. In Maharashtra, ND Patil Medical College has offered medical courses in Marathi, and similarly in Odisha, Punjab, Karnataka, and several other states, they have included medical curriculum in regional languages. So, to conclude, proficiency in English is indeed really very important. However, teaching in native languages doesn't preclude or rule out the idea of learning English. It just adds or well equips us for both local practice and international collaboration. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soheba, for your insightful ideas. Now, any questions, participants?
First of all, congratulations for your speech. I would like to ask you, as you mentioned, there are many batchmates of yours and juniors who cleared their NEET UG exams with some regional language. Now, how do you expect for, let's say I'm Tamilian, okay? Now, I've cleared the NEET exam with Tamil language. I want to study in AIMS Delhi. Now, what's the solution to this?
I guess you didn't heard my last line of the debate. As I said, I'm not asking you to preclude or rule out the English language entirely. It's just that teaching in native languages, it makes it a little more easier for both the patient and the doctor to maintain a good doctor-patient relationship. Okay? And I would like to conclude my answer with few lines that I wrote backstage. In mother tongues, let doctors rise. In mother tongues, let doctors rise, bringing hope beneath the local skies. For every soul in every land, for every soul in every land, medical truth should land hand in hand. Thank you so much, judges.
Now moving forward, please welcome our next participant, Shri Gopal, 2021 batch, speaking against the motion.
A very good morning to the respected jury members, all my batchmates, seniors, juniors, and fellow contestants. Today, I, Shri Gopal, stand firmly here against the motion that promoting medical education in the regional languages is a step forward. There are certain statements in our English textbooks that remain in our hearts forever and brings a smile on our faces whenever we speak it. Case in point, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It is a statement that connects all of us in humor. However, had we all come from different backgrounds, studying different textbooks that were not gold standardized, and been saying likes like mitochondria, koshikaon ka, bijli ghar hai, or in Telugu, mitochondria, annedi cell yokka balamu, do you think that would have had the same impact of unifying all of us? Have you wondered what would have happened had we not used Latin, Greek, or English as the standard of nomenclature in different species? Utter chaos is the answer for that. Our gold standard textbooks are not just a medium of imparting knowledge, they are also a reservoir of knowledge, a source that we can refer to whenever we are in doubt. These textbooks, these knowledgeable points have been accumulated over centuries of hard works and collaboration between people from all over the world. Textbooks don't just mean a collection of words. Textbooks mean a collection of words in a specific context. A context which has been designed by the author of that textbook, keeping something in mind, that this is a protocol and this is how it should be followed. A context which is at the risk of being lost during translation. What is the biggest argument by my peers speaking for the motion? That regional languages, medical textbooks in regional languages would be more inclusive for the students? Well, I'd like to draw your attention to some data. In the 2018 NEET UG exam, only 8% of the students opted for regional languages, and it's a declining trend, soon to be disappearing. And when the option of medical textbooks was given in Bhopal Medical College, Madhya Pradesh, only 25, I repeat, only 25 out of 250 students chose to pursue those books in the regional language. So if the students themselves are not as willing to pursue the regional languages, then why are we forcing it upon them? Shouldn't it be more convenient if we work on our primary education level, on our foundation courses, bridge courses, ATCOM sessions, so that we can bring the students at par with their peers who have come by clearing the NEET exam, imparting with them a basic level of the English language so that they can easily refer the textbooks. Moving ahead, whenever you're in doubt about anything, where do you go for your medical knowledge doubts? PubMed, right? All the peer-reviewed journals are in the English language. So how will you be able to exchange the language between different people all over the globe if you don't have a common tongue? Such as in the COVID era, when all of us came together to develop the vaccines, that is when all the countries worked together to develop protocols and medicine. That is where English language came into role. A person who has studied Gray's Anatomy in a regional language will never be able to share his finding with a person who studies his languages or his books in different languages. You talk about opening boundaries. Well, 15% of the seats in the NEET UG and 50% in NEET PG are from the All India quota. The people who are coming from different places, speaking different languages, wouldn't they have a trouble while following the books in regional languages? And at the end, I'd like to conclude that medical education is about saving lives, about using protocols to the letter T to save lives. They're not about the convenience of students. The medium of education should remain English, and the medium of interaction can always be the regional language. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri. We are very delighted to welcome Dr. Vandana ma'am, Dr. Namrata ma'am, and Dr. Vibha ma'am for for their presence here.
Now moving to the rebuttal session, participants.
I would like to ask, isn't it wrong to ignore the 8% of students just for the sake of convenience? Shouldn't we provide them an option to save them from the mental anguish that comes from not being able to understand something firsthand?
Thank you, Kyosha, for your question. But I think you've not heard my entire speech correctly, or maybe the fan is too loud for you to reach that. Because I'm not saying, just like she said, I'm not saying that we should completely remove, or English should be the only medium of instruction. English should be the medium of medical education, and the regional language can, of course, be the medium of interaction. The teachers can use the regional languages to explore the concepts which have been written in English. They can explain the medical textbooks of English in the regional language to the students, which will, I think that will be a very convenient way for the students to understand that way. And by doing that, they'll also have the standardized way, the standardized lines that they'll be able to memorize and quote whenever they're in need for discussion at the research level.
Thank you.
I hope this answers your doubt. Thank you, everyone.
Indeed, that was a very knowledgeable session we had today.
With this, we come to the end. We come to the end of today's debate session. I thank Dr. Richard ma'am and Dr. Arvind Kumar Singh for evaluating today's debate. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
With this, I, Sanovar,
and I, Sejal,
signing off for today.
Judges, would you like to say a few words on the session?
All the participants spoke really well. Especially the topic, I think somewhere or the other, the juniors, they got, you can say, they got confused about the topic. It was actually what Soheba and Shri pointed out, कि we were just adding a regional language along with the English language. It was not replacing English with the regional language. Only the medical education part, the textbooks that are being introduced in various colleges, they were in the regional language. So that the debate was only on that topic. It was not about कि we are just replacing English with the regional languages. So the junior batches, I think they somewhere got lost with the topic. Otherwise, everyone spoke really well, and the arguments that you spoke in favor of the English language and against the in favor of the regional languages, they were really good, and even we got to learn many things from it. So thank you so much for inviting us over here, and thank you for everything. Okay. Congratulations to each and every contestant over here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.